Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Perth East Council this 5th day of November. I'd like to call our meeting to order. If everyone could please bow their head for a moment of reflection. Thank you. Next, we have confirmation of the agenda. There's a couple things that Ashley would like to speak to.
Okay, thanks, Mayor Eggetts. Item number 7.2.1, just on the agenda shell that was released to the public, had it as application A13 rather than A14. So on your agenda shells tonight, it's been changed to A14. And the confirmatory bylaw is bylaw 63, 2024 rather than 64, 2024.
Okay, is there anything else? If not, we have a motion that the agenda as prepared for November 5, 2024 meeting of council of the Township of Perth East be approved as amended. Moved by Amanda, second by Bob. All in favor? Carried. Okay, if you have pecuniary interest, you can disclose that now or as the meeting goes along. We have 16 items on our consent agenda. Is there any item anyone would like pulled? Amanda?
Item 5.1.12.
5.1.12, okay. Anyone else? No? Okay. Then we have a motion that the items 5.1.1 to 5.1.16, with the exception of 5.1.12, as set out in the consent agenda for November 5 regular meeting of council, be received for information, and the minutes of October 16, 2024 regular council meeting be adopted. Moved by Hugh, second by Andrew. All in favor? Carried. Amanda, go ahead.
Yes, so I would like to see us support this motion. I think we've seen a pretty substantial increase in the cost of the OPP services. It's something that has been happening not just in Perth East, but across the board. It is pretty significant. And so I think that it would be worthwhile for us to support this motion and bring some awareness to that issue.
Okay, you're moving that?
Yes.
And the seconder? Hugh? So we do have a motion that the Council of the Township of Perth East receive the Municipality of St. Charles Resolution of Support Sustainable Funding for Ontario Provincial Police, OPP, Small Rural Municipalities, that council direct staff to prepare a letter to support in regards to the original motion from the Township of Terrence Bay, whereas it is apparent that the Ontario government has overlooked the needs of our small rural Ontario, and whereas Ontario's small rural municipalities face insurmountable challenges to fund both upfront investments and ongoing maintenance of their capital assets, including roads, bridges, water/wastewater, and municipally owned buildings, including recreation facilities, libraries, and other tangible capital assets. And whereas small rural Ontario operating needs consume the majority of property tax revenue sources, and whereas small rural municipalities of 10,000 people or less are facing monumental infrastructure deficits that cannot be adequately addressed through property tax revenue alone. And whereas in 2015, the provincial government moved to standardize billing for all non-contract OPP locations, and whereas Ontario government has committed $9.1 billion to Toronto alone to assist with operating deficits and the repartition of the Don Valley and Gardner Expressway, and $534 million to Ottawa for the repartition of Highway 174. And whereas the annual cost of the Ontario Provincial Police Municipal Policing Bureau for small rural non-contract municipalities is approximately $428 million, and whereas this cost is significantly less than the repartition costs of the Gardner Expressway, the Don Valley Parkway, and the Highway 174 Ottawa region, but provides a greater impact to the residents of the province overall. And where all this will afford relief to small rural municipalities for both infrastructure and operating needs while having a minimal impact on the provincial budget. Now therefore be resolved, the municipality of Tweed calling the Ontario government to immediately implement sustainable funding for small rural municipalities be reabsorbing the cost of the Ontario Provincial Police Force back into the provincial budget with no cost recovery to municipalities, and further that this resolution be circulated to Premier Doug Ford, MPP Matthew Ray, Minister of Solicitor General, Minister of Finance, and the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. Okay, you're good with that? And Hugh? All in favor? Carried. Okay, we have no public presentations. We have no other presentations. We do have 2 public meetings. So the first public meeting, I declare this public meeting to be open. The public meeting is being held to consider a proposed zoning bylaw amendment affecting property currently owned by Greenwich Age Dairy Farms Limited / Beverly Rock, Concession 11, Part Lot 21, East Part Lot 22, 5018 Perth Road 135. This meeting is an opportunity for the township to advise the public on the purpose and intent of the amendment and receive their input prior to considering adoption of an implementing bylaw. If a bylaw is adopted to implement the zoning amendment, a notice of passing will be forwarded by prepaid first-class mail to various agencies of interest and others who have requested notice. An appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal objecting to the adoption of the bylaw may be filed with the clerk no later than the date stated on the notice. Any person attending this meeting who wishes to receive written notice of a bylaw passed to implement the amendment is asked to give their name and mailing address to the clerk following this meeting. No written notice, except as previously noted, will be given unless requested in writing following the meeting. All persons attending this meeting will be given an opportunity to be heard or make a presentation. I'll now call on our planner, Joshua, to present the planning report and recommendations. So welcome, Joshua. The floor is yours.
There we go. Thank you. Alrighty. So zoning bylaw amendment application Z17-2024 was submitted by Monteith Ritzma Phillips Professional Corporation on behalf of Greenwich Dairy Farms Limited to rezone the lands municipally known as 5018 Road 135. The application is a condition of consent to sever application B22-2024, which was conditionally approved by the Perth East Council on July 7th, 2024. Application B22 severed the existing single detached dwelling from the farming operation. The retained agricultural lands are to be sold to Greenwich Dairy Farms Limited, who've demonstrated controlling ownership of another farming operation in the township. The severed lands outlined in yellow are proposed to be rezoned from the agricultural zone to the special agricultural zone 1 or A-1 to permit a non-farm residential use where it would otherwise be prohibited. The retained lands outlined in red in the photo before you are proposed to be rezoned from the agricultural zone to agricultural special zone 5 or A-5 to protect existing agricultural operations by prohibiting the development of any new residential use. Staff have received comments from the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority. They had no objections. As per statutory requirements, public notice of application was provided. No comments were received. The subject application is found to be consistent with provincial and county policy. As a result, planning staff are supportive of the proposed zoning bylaw amendment and recommend that the Perth East Council approve the zoning bylaw amendment. I would be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone present who wishes to make a presentation or speak in opposition of the application? Seeing no one, is there anyone present who wishes to make a presentation or speak in support of the application other than the applicant or the applicant's agent? Seeing no one, does the applicant or the applicant agent wish to make a presentation or speak with respect to the application? Nope. Are there questions from members of council? No questions? Council will consider a resolution regarding a planning report recommendation following the conclusion of the public meeting. Bylaw 217-2024 to implement the approval of the zoning application will be considered later within the council agenda. Okay, and our second public hearing, our public meeting, excuse me, our second public meeting is this public meeting is being held to consider a proposed zoning bylaw amendment affecting property currently owned by Peter and Marlene McNamara, Concession 3, South Part Lot 39, 2954, Perth Line 37. The preamble is all the same. We're just going to skip right down to you. Josh, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Just before we begin the presentation, I'd like to acknowledge a slight error in the report on page 75 of the agenda package. The report photo in the legend says A-11 instead of A190. That is not prevalent anywhere else in the materials, just for your awareness. And then we'll get going. So zoning bylaw amendment application Z18 2024 was submitted by Peter and Marlene McNamara to rezone the lands municipally known as 2954 Perth Line 37. The applicant is proposing to rezone the subject lands to a new site-specific agricultural zone, Special Agricultural Zone 190 or A-190. The new zone would decrease the minimum lot area for the subject lands from 1,850 square meters to 1,490 square meters, decrease the minimum side yard from 7.5 meters to 4.4 meters, and recognize the existing non-farm residential use as a permitted use. This relief has been requested in order to facilitate the development of a secondary dwelling unit in the attached garage, as well as permitting for a 24.5 square meter addition to be added to the rear of said garage. The proposed addition would be incorporated as part of the secondary dwelling unit. Staff received comments from the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority. They had no objections. As per statutory requirements, public notice application was provided. No public comments were received. The subject application is found to be consistent with county and provincial policy. As a result, planning staff are supportive of the proposed zoning bylaw amendment and recommend that the Perth East Council approve zoning bylaw amendment application Z18 2024. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone present who wishes to make a presentation or speak in opposition of the application? Seeing no one, is there anyone present who wishes to make a presentation or speak in support of the application other than the applicant or the applicant's agent? Seeing no one, does the applicant or the applicant agent wish to address any comments or questions? No? Okay. Or speak to it? Are there questions from members of council? Nope. Okay, council will consider a resolution regarding the plan and report recommendation following the conclusion of the public meeting. Bylaw 218-2024 to implement the approval of the zoning application will be considered later within the council agenda. The public meeting is now concluded and we will continue with the regular meeting of council. Okay, so the first, thank you.
Thank you all.
Josh, enjoy the rest of your night if you don't want to stick around or. Okay, all right, that's good. Okay, so we have a motion that the Township of Perth East receive the report dated November 5, 2024, entitled Zoning Bylaw Amendment Z17-2024, submitted by Monteith Ritzma Phillips Professional Corporation on behalf of Grinner Stage Dairy Farms Limited, affecting lands described as legally described as lots 21 and 22, concession 11, Ellis Ward, municipally known as 5018 Perth Road 135, for information that council held a statutory public meeting pursuant to section 34 of the Planning Act with respect to the zoning bylaw amendment Z17-2024, and further that zoning bylaw amendment Z17-2024 be approved, and further that council proceed with the adoption of the zoning bylaw amendment. We need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Amanda, second by Hugh. All in favor? Carried. Okay, and the second motion is the Township of Perth East Council received the report dated November 5, 2024, entitled Zoning Bylaw Amendment D14-Z18-2024-PE, submitted by Peter and Marlene McNamara, affecting lands described as Part Lot 39, Concession 3, Northeast Tope Ward, municipally known as 2954, Line 37, for information, and that council held a statutory public meeting pursuant to Section 34 of the Planning Act with respect to zoning bylaw amendment Z18-2024, and further that zoning bylaw amendment Z18-2024 be approved, and further that council proceed with the adoption of the zoning bylaw amendment. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Hugh, second by Amanda. All in favor? Carried. Okay, now we'll go to our public hearing. Council will now temporarily adjourn to sit as Committee of Adjustment pursuant to Section 45 of the Planning Act. I now declare this public hearing open. This public hearing is being held to consider an application affecting property currently owned by Holger and Lydia DeFries. I'm sorry if I mispronounced the name, and described as Concession 3, Lot 30, Southeast Hope Ward, 2563, Perth, Line 33. The purpose of this hearing is to give the committee and the public an opportunity to hear all interested persons with respect to the proposed application and receive their input, and for the committee to make a decision on the application. All persons attending this hearing will be given an opportunity to be heard or make a presentation. Committee members may be asked questions for the purposes of clarifying the application, but are asked to withhold comments on this application until all present have been given an opportunity to be heard. Any person who wishes to receive written notice of the decision made by the Committee of Adjustment is asked to email their name and mailing address to the Secretary Treasurer at this time. An appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal objecting to the decision made at this hearing may be filed by the applicant, the municipality, the minister, or prescribed utility providers with the Secretary Treasurer no later than November 25, 2024. No written notice, except as previously noted, will be given unless requested at this time. I will now call on our planner, Jeff, to present the planning report and recommendations. So welcome, Jeff.
Thank you.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. So minor variance application A14 2024 was submitted by Holger and Lydia DeFries for the property at 2563 Perth Line 63. The owner is proposing to construct an addition to an existing accessory structure for farm-related uses and for cold storage. The owners are requesting relief from the Perth East zoning bylaw to reduce the minimum side yard width for buildings and structures accessory to an agricultural use from 30 meters to 8.21 meters. Subject lands are approximately 19.5 hectares in area and currently contain a single attached dwelling and an existing accessory building on an agricultural farm. The property is designated as agriculture and natural resources environment in the official plan. Area for development is entirely located within the agricultural designation. The lands designated as agriculture are intended to be used and developed for farming uses of all types. The proposed minor variance will provide for the construction of an addition to the existing accessory structure for farm-related uses and cold storage. The building addition supports the existing farm operation without negatively impacting the surrounding farm uses. And as a result, we consider it to be minor in nature and meeting the general intent and purpose of the official plan. County of Perth has recently adopted an official plan, which is 2024. The official plan is currently being reviewed by the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, and the subject lands are to be designated as agriculture and natural environment in that official plan. The new official plan continues to allow for accessory structures to be constructed in support of agricultural farming operations. The property is also zoned as Agricultural Zone A-25 and Natural Resources Environment 2 Zone, NRE2, in the Perth East zoning bylaw. Special provision in the agricultural zone allows for a farm-related business with restrictions on the existing shop building not exceeding 370 square meters in size, and with required parking and storage area being allowed to locate immediately to the north and the south of the building. Maximum of 2 persons are allowed to work at the business. Accessory building to an agricultural use is permitted within the zone. The intent of the minimum side yard requirement is to provide for an adequate setback for livestock and manure storage and structures accessory to that land use. The minimum interior side yard width also provides for sufficient land for proper grading and drainage around the accessory buildings. Proposed building addition will share the existing driveway and will not remove any agricultural land from the farming operation. Side yard setback will allow for proper grading and drainage around the proposed addition, and the variance would not have a negative impact on the neighboring lands. So the applicant is able to meet all other zoning bylaw requirements. The proposed interior side yard setback allows for sufficient land and allows for maintenance of the building, and the minor variance is considered to be minor in nature. The proposed building addition is located approximately 48 meters away from the existing dwelling and would be located 87 meters from the front lot line. The proposed size and location of the accessory structure results in an addition that's in conformity with all other relevant provisions of the zoning bylaw and maintains the suitable streetscape. Application for minor variance conforms to the official plan policies and then maintains the general intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw. It's considered to be minor and desirable for the use of the land. As a result, planning is supporting the variance. And I'm available to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone present who wishes to make a presentation or speak in opposition of the application? Seeing no one. Is there anyone present who wishes to make a presentation or speak in support of the application other than the applicant or the applicant's agent? Seeing no one. Does the applicant or the applicant agent wish to make a presentation or speak with respect to the application? No. Are there any questions from the committee members? No. The committee will now consider a motion regarding the application. So the motion reads that the Township of Perth East Committee of Adjustment received the report dated November 5, 2024, prepared by the planner entitled Minor Variance A14-2024, submitted by Holger and Lydia DeFries for lands described as Lot 30, Concession 3, Southeast Hope Ward, Township of Perth East, municipally known as 2563 Perth Line 33, for information that the committee approve application A14-2024-PE as it relates to number 1, relief from section 6.3.3.1 to reduce the minimum side yard width for buildings and structures accessory to an agricultural use from 30 meters to 8.21 meters, subject to the following condition, and that condition is that the owners obtain the necessary building permit within 2 years of the approval of the minor variance. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Hugh, second by Andrew. All those in favor? Carried. I declare this public hearing closed. Okay, so we'll move to now the planning reports, and our first one is a consent submitted by Laura Jameson Zelink Primo Limited on behalf of Ron and Brenda Hyde. So Jeff, it's all yours.
Thank you. So the consent applications B40-24 and B41-24 have been submitted by Ron and Brenda Hyde and Zelinka Priamo for the lands legally described as lots 21 and 22 of Plan 331 in Southeast Hope Ward, which are located in Shakespeare. The applicant has submitted 2 consent applications to create 2 commercial lots and a sanitary servicing easement on the retained parcel in favor of the property at 2189 line 34. The applicant has expressed an intention to develop these lots with residential buildings, but have decided to proceed with the consent applications first prior to the required official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment applications that could allow for residential development on the subject lands. The provincial policy statement of 2024 states that land use patterns within settlement areas have to be based on densities in a mix of land uses which efficiently use the land and resources. It also states that planning authorities should support the achievement of complete communities by accommodating an appropriate range and mix of land uses and housing options to meet long-term needs and improving social equity and the overall quality of life. Subject property is located within a serviced urban area in the County of Perth official plan, which is considered to be a settlement area. The lands within that serviced settlement area are contemplating relevant policies in the official plan. There are existing sanitary and storm services available to both the severed and the retained lands. Planning staff included a condition number 6 in the recommendations that would require water services to be extended to the subject lands. And again, the Perth Council, County of Perth Council has adopted recently official plan 2024, which is currently being reviewed by the ministry. The new official plan continues to support a compact and efficient development within the urban mixed use area, which is what is being proposed to be designated on these lands. The consent applications propose to sever 2 lots, each with a lot frontage of 15 meters and a lot area of 481 square meters. The retained lot will have a lot frontage of 21.5 meters, a lot area of 690 square meters, and would provide an easement to the adjacent lands to the north. The lands are currently zoned as commercial zone C1. C1 zone permits of various commercial and institutional land uses. And public notice was provided to neighboring property owners on October 9th of 2024 in accordance with the Planning Act regulations. At the time of writing the report, one response has been received. The respondent has expressed concerns with the small size of the proposed lots and suggested that the subject land should be used for one residential lot only. Their correspondence has been attached to the report for council's consideration. The proposed commercial lots are in close proximity to other commercial properties and services and are able to be provided to each parcel of land. The easement will allow for the continued sanitary and storm connection to the adjacent property to the north. The lands have frontage on a public road, and site plan agreements will be required for any future commercial development if that's decided upon by the applicant. The lots that are being proposed will meet the minimum lot area requirements of the commercial C1 zone, and they would also meet the minimum lot requirements of a residential medium density R2 zone if an official plan amendment and a zone change application are submitted in the future. The serviced urban area commercial designation is intended to support commercial compact development, which utilizes servicing infrastructure. The proposed lot fabric represents a lot size that is supportable by the County of Perth official plan policies. An archaeological assessment was completed by the applicant and no archaeological resources were found on the property. And the report recommended that no further archaeological assessment of the property is required. Planning staff are supportive of the severance application, subject to the recommended conditions of consent being fulfilled. I'm available to answer any questions.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Questions of the report? Andrew?
Thank you, Mayor. I guess, sorry, Jeff, I was trying to contact you today. I'm always last minute. I apologize for that. So 6B, connection to municipal water. Can you give me a little more background on that? I think there's a lot of, things in the 2024 provincial planning statement and that about cost prohibitiveness for development for water services and sewer services. So I'm just wondering what the rationale and what discussions have been had and what the plan for that is, if you know. Thank you.
Yep. Through the mayor. So the intention is that because this is a partially serviced settlement area, the intention is to get any new development onto municipal services where it's possible. So there's partial water service throughout the town, and the intention is that we should be utilizing that and asking applicants to connect to that water service. So if there's new lots that are being created, my understanding is that it is a priority of the township to ensure that those new lots are serviced by municipal water. Doesn't mean that it couldn't be serviced by municipal well. That's something that can be worked out through conditions. It's included that it has to be a municipal water connection, but if that was worked out through municipal staff, then there's a potential that it could be dealt with through a well water.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I know that basically that whole southern end of the highway, minus a few areas, I think the costs, from what I understand, would be very, very, very high to service a couple of lots. So yeah, it's again, the provincial planning statement seems to be riddled with allowing for infilling and, combination of sewage services and private communal sewer and water, right? So I think it's available. I'm wondering, would the discussions that need to happen still be okay to happen in your view if that point B was removed? And that could just go ahead and not be a condition, but just a result of conversations with staff and the proponent.
Before you answer that, Mike's going to add some more. We had this discussion already around council table, and Mike will fill it in.
Yeah, I don't, thanks, Mayor. I don't have it specifically in front of me, but there was a report that came from staff as it relates to servicing, in particular municipal water servicing in Shakespeare when it's creation of more than one lot. And the consensus of council or the resolution of council was in those instances, all efforts would be made to extend the services so there would be a connection. So that would be the direction that we're operating under. So, and that's the intent of 6B as well. I understand cost is always going to be a factor as it relates to severances. and developing within Shakespeare. That was the reason for bringing the report to council, so we could have some consideration around what that looks like. There's also an additional severance that has happened to the east of this property, and the intent would be to extend services to include those lots as well, so that all of those lots along Shakespeare, the new lots that have been created through severance, would be connecting to the municipal water at the same time.
Go ahead.
No, I appreciate the follow-up, C.L. Gibbons. Now, was that going to be a bylaw or a policy that we were supposed to vet to see how we liked it? That's the way I understood it was coming back. So I hadn't seen that. So that's why I'm diving through the provincial policy statement to kind of guide me.
There was a report and a resolution that was passed by council. That's what staff is relying on at this point, Councillor. Certainly, the report itself detailed options as it relates to a servicing bylaw, something along those lines, but the decision of council at that point was to support the resolution, and the resolution provided that direction that staff's now following. Certainly, we can provide the resolution and bring it back for council, but that's the direction that we currently are operating under.
Okay, other questions, Hugh?
On page 91, the easement will be approximately 3 meters in width of the depth of 32.1 meters, and I had to change that into English. That's over 105 feet. So surely an easement doesn't go 105 feet.
Through the mayor. So the intention of the easement is to provide access or provide a sanitary connection to the lands that are on the highway. So it goes through the entire depth of the property, which is 105 feet. I'll double check that depth on my sketch. Yeah, looking at the sketch, it does say 32 meters in depth for the property. So the easement would go from the front of the property to the rear of the property, which would give access for servicing to the lands to the north, which are on the highway.
But at 100 feet?
Yeah, it's 105 feet.
Yeah. Once it got to the south side though, if it was 100 feet down, you'd have to have a pump there.
I think you're talking about not depth, but length and width.
Sorry, yeah. Through the mayor, I can clarify that when I say depth, I'm not talking about going deep into the ground for that connection. It's the distance from the front lot line to the rear lot line.
I get that. It was just, it was the word depth, and it was like, wow, that's pretty deep.
Yeah, no, I understand.
No,
Yeah,
no, that's fine. It was just.
yeah. I was talking about the lot depth of the property from front lot line to the rear lot line.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? No? Okay, then we do have motions. Are they both the same? They're a little different. Okay, so we have a motion that Council of the Township of Perth East receive the report dated November 5, 2024, prepared by the planner entitled Application for Consent B40-2024 and B41-20, or excuse me, B40-24 and B41-24, submitted by Ron and Brenda Hyde for lands described as lots 21 and 22, Plan 331, Southeast Hope Ward, for information. That council advise the Land Division Committee or its delegated authority that the Township of Perth East supports application files B40-24 and B41-24, subject to the following conditions. And these conditions, the first ones I'm going to read out are for B40-2024, and these 6 conditions are for Perth East. So the first one is that all financial requirements have been met. The second one, the required cash in lieu of parkland dedication fee has been paid for each new severed lot. The third one, the apportionment schedule of municipal drains in the area are reviewed and updated. to the satisfaction of the township. The fourth one, the severed and retained lots that each have been assigned separate municipal addresses and signs. The fifth is the road access to the severed and retained parcels are to their satisfaction. The sixth one is that the owners/developer enter into a development agreement with the Township of Perth East, and that the terms of the agreement be satisfactory to the Township of Perth East, including but not limited to A, provisions for connection to potable water services, sanitary and storm sewage systems, B, financial securities and requirements for connection to water, municipal water and sanitary, and C, a requirement for entrances. And these next conditions are Perth County's conditions. And the first one is that the solicitor, that the certificate of the official be scanned and attached to the electronic registration of the transfer. The second one is the Land Division Committee be provided with a description that is consistent with the application and equal to that required for registration of the deed/transfer or other conveyances of interest in the land and the provision of the Registry Act. And so then for B41-24, we have conditions again, 6 conditions for Perth East. And the first one, require all financial requirements are met. The second one, cash in lieu for parkland dedication fee has been paid for each new severed lot. The third one, the apportionment schedule of municipal drains are reviewed and updated. The fourth one, the severed and retained lots have assigned separate municipal addresses and signs. The fifth one, Perth East has road access to the severed and retained parcels are to their satisfaction. And the sixth one is the owner/developer enter into a development agreement with the Township of Perth East, and the terms of the agreement be satisfactory to the Township of Perth East, including but not limited to A, provision for a connection to potable water services, sanitary and storm sewage systems, B, financial securities and requirements for connection to municipal water and sanitary, and C, a requirement for entrances. And then Perth County also has conditions, and they have 2 of them. And the first one is the receive from a solicitor that the certificate of the official be scanned and attached to the electronic registration of the transfer. And the second one is the Land Division Committee be provided with a description that is consistent with the application and equal to that required for registration of the deed/transfer or other conveyance of interest in land and the provision with the Registry Act. Okay, so we need a mover and a seconder. Moved.
I may, please?
Okay, and what, well, we don't have a mover yet, so what do you want to change?
Well, I'll move the motion, but I want to move an amendment with the motion. Sorry, we're going to vote. I know typically we've just voted on it and then see how it went. So whatever way you want to do it, Mary, it's.
Well, I'd like a mover and a seconder, and then if you want to amend it.
I will move it.
Okay, moved by Andrew, second by Jeremy. Okay, and now Andrew wishes to make an amendment, and what is the amendment?
Thank you, Mary. It's a removal of 6B on B4124, which is financial securities and requirements for connection to municipal water and sanitary. Actually, you can strike sanitary and just financial securities and requirements for connection, strike municipal water. You can leave sanitary. So the words I want struck are municipal water on 6B.
On both lots?
Yes, for this project, yes. Is there 2? There's B4124, and then there's, just clarify here.
There's 2 lots, 40 and 41.
40. 40 is a little bit different wording, is it not? Oh, no, it's not. Yeah, so 6B, same thing, so that would be, thank you for that, B4024, 6B, strike the word potable water services. That's, yeah, sorry, that's why I left that in there. I apologize, because potable water services, potable water is just drinking water, right? It's not, it doesn't actually say municipal water. So I think I'm fine with leaving that. But I definitely want to amend, see if council will amend 6B for B4124, removing the wording municipal water. Clear as mud?
So you want both lots 40 and 41, just for my clarification, 40 and 41, that you want 6B, you want the words removed that say municipal water and sanitary. Just municipal water.
Please, Mary, yes.
Okay, Andrew's got an amendment. Do we have a seconder? Hugh? Okay, so we will vote on the amendment first.
Okay, can we have discussion?
Questions, comments?
Yes, thank you. So the reason why, I have no problem with the project, I know we're gonna develop, there's a few infilling lots left in Shakespeare. This is gonna cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. The other one is gonna be the fourplex in the other end of the street, so totally opposite ends of the street. Water is really nowhere close. At a 150 millimeter water main going down there, it's gonna be hundreds of thousands of dollars on these two owners. So I'm pretty sure C.L. Givens can probably pencil that out in his head. So, you know, we've seen with other things, the cost recovery is not there for the owner. Currently, the way we discussed it before, and I appreciate the heads up about the previous discussion, but I thought that that was going to come back as a policy we could review, and it is a good thing to have a policy for these severances, right? So yeah, I think the viability of municipal water in this case, the sewers on the front, and this is, or sorry, on the back. But so that's cool. Obviously, that's got to happen. But the water is going to be extremely costly, and that's why I'd like it removed in the discussions with staff to continue. So that's where I'm at.
Anyone else with comments? Amanda?
I just have some questions, honestly. So the first one is, did the applicant ask for, do they want a well? Is that, like, that's my question. So that's the first question. 2, in terms of process, if council votes on a policy in that moment, and then there's another motion that might contradict that, how does that work from a process, even if something hasn't been, like, brought back? I thought, like, if we voted on something, how does that work? The other question I had is the costing of the services. So, like, the hundreds of thousands that, like, Councilor McAlpine's suggesting. So if, I don't know if there's any more information that staff could maybe elaborate, or the planner. Just, those are my 3 questions. One was if the applicant is asking for wells, just out of curiosity. 2, with respect to, like, procedure with respects to policies and voting, and what trumps the other. And then the third is just regards to the cost piece.
Okay, so Jeff, can you answer the one about the well?
I can probably answer all of
Okay, Mike says he can answer. You're off the hook.
Yeah, to the council, to the questions, first and foremost, all of the typical severance applicants say what's the cheapest as it relates to servicing. They don't necessarily have a preference. Some do have strong preferences. We had a presentation where someone presented to council indicated that they were not a supporter of private wells being drilled within Shakespeare. But most instances, I would suggest, and which I would say is consistent with the Hyde application, they're not as concerned with the environmental impacts or the implications potentially on other existing wells. It's what's cheapest. This is an endeavor that they're proceeding with for more than one reason. One is to build their own home, I believe, but also to sever 2 lots that they would be looking to sell, is my understanding. So the first question is, typically there's a conversation, and we provided Mr. Hyde in this instance with a estimate as it related to the extension. I anticipate that Mr. Hyde has shared that with the councillor, and that's where these numbers are coming from. To that end, we share that based on, providing the details to our engineer, who provides an estimate just based on that information. So that's where the numbers come from. The preference is typically whichever's cheapest. And I'm sorry, the third question was as it relates to process. So on September 4th, council passed a bylaw, or a resolution, that came from a report. The contents partially is, and further, that council endorsed the following statement as it relates to new development in Shakespeare. All new developments in the village of Shakespeare in excess of a single unit shall extend the municipal water main for the provision of drinking water. Extensions would be at the sole cost of the developer in accordance with the applicable fees and charges bylaw. No new private wells shall be drilled for the purposes of providing drinking water to such developments. There's more to the resolution, but that was the specific phrasing within the resolution as it related to extension and connection to municipal water. So I'm not a procedural expert by any stretch, but that is an existing resolution passed by council. If council passes, and it's a council resolution, if council were to pass a subsequent resolution that contradicted the previous resolution, I think if nothing else, it creates a hell of a lot of confusion for staff.
Okay, Amanda?
Sorry, just one other question of clarification I want to make sure I understood one of the things you said. The cost piece is not, that's not shared with us as counselors, that was just shared between the engineer and the proponent. Is that, did I get that right?
Yeah, typically that's one of the questions the proponent has is how much is it going to cost me to extend the municipal water? And depending upon the seriousness of the application, Mr. Hyde had gone to the point we had known he'd submitted the actual severance application. We encourage our engineer to come up with an estimate, and it is just an estimate. And we do look at other options outside of just the estimate. We are cost conscious and we understand the implications on the applicants. But we also want to be transparent. We don't think it's a good idea for him to go forward with a severance and him have no idea what that extension is. And no, we don't typically share that information with council. Because we're relying on the resolution that was passed. Certainly the extension of water main it does vary depending upon the length, depending upon which side of the road. There are significant considerations that have to go into preparing that estimate. I think as we proceed with master planning in both of Milverton and Shakespeare, we will have a better understanding of those costs, and that master planning information will be shared with council.
Okay, other questions? So we're voting on just the amendment, and the amendment was moved by Andrew and second by Hugh, and it's to remove in number 6B the word municipal water. Okay, all those in favor? Those opposed? Defeated. Okay.
Okay, Councillor McMillan,
Yay.
Councillor Matheson,
Hold on one moment. That was backwards. Sorry.
Are we doing a recorded vote on the motion or on the amendment?
On the amendment, sorry.
My apologies, I was assuming we were moving forward after it was defeated.
It's on the amendment.
On the amendment, nay.
okay, Councillor Matheson,
Nay.
Councillor McAlpine,
Yay.
Councillor Broadhagen,
Nay?
Deputy Mayor McDermott,
Yes.
and Mayor Agates.
Nay.
So 4 nay, 2 yay, so the motion is defeated.
Okay, so then we go back to the original motion, and the original motion includes the, that statement that financial securities and requirements for connection to municipal water and sanitary stays in. And that was moved by moved by Andrew and second by Jeremy. Okay, all in favor of that motion? Opposed? Carried. Okay, thank you. We'll move now to our next agenda item, and that is municipal consultation, 8.1.2, wireless communication tower. And Jeff, I believe you're going to do that as well, so the floor is yours.
Thank you. So SIN Development Limited is proposing to construct a self-supporting radio communication tower at 3191 Perth Line 26. Tower is proposed to provide for the expansion of Right Tech's internet wireless internet network and to provide for amateur radio antennas. So there's currently a gap in their coverage and capacity of their internet service, and as a result of the site nature of the internet service. So they're requesting that the Township of Perth East Council provide comments on their application. So communication towers are regulated by the federal government. Proposals for new towers are required to consult with land use authorities in citing new mobile base station locations. Location of the proposed cell tower is designated as infilling and agriculture in the official plan and zoned as HVR-1 in the Perth East zoning bylaw. The tower is to be confitted with anti-climb shields to deter trespassers on the property from climbing the tower, and the site was chosen to be minimally invasive on the surrounding trees and the environmental area. The applicant has stated that they have considered other locations and have chosen the proposed location to meet the service needs of the customers with increased internet coverage on the lands that are owned by the applicant. They've also advised that a site plan sketch is not required as a result of the smaller size and the class of the proposed tower. The cell towers are regulated by the federal government. Municipal bylaws, zoning bylaws, may not control or limit the type or height of the antenna system or support structure for any other purpose. The applicant has provided mapping showing the location of the proposed tower on the subject lands. Telecommunication protocols also require that neighboring property owners within 3 times the height of the tower are to be notified. So the proposed height of the tower is 26.8 meters. The required circulation area is 80.5 meters, and the applicant has completed a circulation to the adjacent property owners within 124 meters. So they've gone slightly above and beyond what is required. The fall radius of the proposed structure is located entirely on the subject lands and will not impact any existing structures on the subject lands. NAV Canada have responded to the circulation, and they have stated that they have no objection to the project as submitted. And after the completion of the report, we have also been given correspondence that Transport Canada, they've assessed the proposed structure and will not constitute an obstacle to their air navigation. So they've concluded that no protection is required of the proposed building structure or the object. Public notice was provided to the neighboring property owners on August 4th by the applicant. At the time of the writing report, the applicant has noted that no other comments have been received from the circulation. Planning staff recommend that the Township of Perth East Council provide a statement of concurrence to James LNP SIN outlining that the public consultation protocol has been followed in accordance with the Perth East consultation process for wireless telecommunications facilities. And I'm available to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Questions of the report? Hugh?
For that tower, they would have to have the person whose ever land it's going on, they'd have to have their permission, right?
Through the mayor, yes, correct. It is on the land, the applicant owns the land that is proposed for the location of the tower, and they have permission to do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I just, and basically though, our letter, it doesn't matter whether we're for or against, it doesn't really matter, right?
You're providing, through the mayor, you're providing comments to the federal government on the application. You're not making a decision on whether or not they can put the tower in place.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? If not, we have a motion that Council of the Township of Perth East receive the report dated November 5, 2024, entitled Municipal Consultation for Wireless Telecommunications Tower, submitted by James L. N.P. SIN, affecting lands described as concession 7, N, Part Lot 42, Southeast Hope Ward, Township of Perth East, municipally known as 3191 Perth Line 26, for information. That council provide a statement of concurrence to James L. N.P. SIN outlining that the public consultation protocol has been followed in accordance with the Perth East consultation process for wireless telecommunication facilities. Tongue twister. We have a mover and a seconder, moved by Hugh, second by Jeremy. All in favor? Carried. Okay, next report is the commencement of a housekeeping amendment to the Township of Perth East zoning bylaw And we have our intern, planning intern with us tonight, and welcome to Perth East. And I'm sorry I have not got to meet you yet as the warden either, so welcome to the county. And this is Naeem, and the floor is yours.
Can you hear me all right? Perfect. Sorry, I'm actually replacing Naeem today. My name's actually Moira Davidson. I'm the senior policy planner.
Sorry, I should know that.
No, it is okay. The same thing actually happened last night in North Perth. I've changed my hair and cut it off since you saw me last, so it was pulled back before when you saw me last, so apologies there. But yes, to summarize, I am here to talk to you about a proposed housekeeping amendment that the county would like to undertake, and essentially I'm here to ask permission from yourselves to undertake that amendment. So as you are aware, the Township of Perth East, your zoning bylaw was adopted in 1999, and then there were subsequent housekeeping amendments in 2002, 2008, 2011, 2016, and 2019. 2019 being the latest amendment or housekeeping amendment that happened to the zoning bylaw, and it looked to change looked to address various errors and omissions that occurred in the zoning bylaw, things like maybe definitions that were missed or any policies that would help with the clarity on applying the zoning bylaw and the provisions within. So since the most recent housekeeping amendment, there have also been significant changes to provincial policy, and we would be looking to update the zoning bylaw to be in compliance with those changes to provincial policy. The proposed housekeeping amendment, among other things, would touch on accessory buildings, secondary dwelling units, the naming protocols that currently exists of the zones within the zoning bylaw, as well as other zoning regulations. And it may affect sections that are including, but not limited to, sections 3, 5, 6, 12, 13, and 14, as well as the schedules and key maps. So that's a quick summary of kind of what the housekeeping amendment is going to look to. It's not a complete list. Once we get into the housekeeping amendment review itself, we will be doing an in-depth dive, and we'll be involving staff and council and undertaking some public consultation as well, just as part of the wholesome zoning bylaw application process. So that would be, similar to the zoning bylaw reviews or applications that you see before yourselves. It would be similar to those. So at this time, I just ask if council would approve and authorize the county to undertake a housekeeping review for yourselves.
Okay, questions of the report, Andrew?
Thank you, Mayor Rigetts. So not Naeem. When it comes back, will it be like a revision log or highlighted areas so we can see what the changes were? I know we did this a long time ago, but it's really nice to see instead of just a big document. I'm not sure what format it's coming back in.
Through the mayor, we're looking at having actual chart format of what the previous zoning bylaw included versus what the change is proposed to be, and then the rationale as to why the change is occurring. So you'll see that in a chart format, but then the actual amendment itself will be a very long written out document of every single policy change that needs to occur. So it'll be twofold. It'll be kind of like a track change version in a chart, as well as the actual amendment itself, which includes every single section, page, provision that needs to be changed and why.
Perfect, thank you.
Other questions? Nope. Okay, if not, we have a motion that Council of the Township of Perth East received the report dated November 5, 2024, prepared by the planner entitled Commencement of Housekeeping Amendment to the Township of Perth East Zoning Bylaw number 30-1999 for information, and council authorized planning staff to initiate a housekeeping amendment to the Township of Perth East Zoning Bylaw number 30-1999. Moved by Hugh, second by Bob. All in favor? Carried. My apologies.
It's okay.
I'm really sorry.
Thank you. It's okay. I know you normally have my hair pulled back anyways, so thank you.
That's bad. Okay, we're going to move on. We have no reports from the CAO. We do have from the clerk, and the first one is deemed lot 241, 363 to be outside a plan of subdivision, Church Alley. Ashley?
Okay, thanks, Mayor Rigetts. This report is hopefully one of the final bylaws for Church Alley and the disposition that council had given staff. The sale agreements have happened with the two purchasing property owners, and the property lot 241, which is off of Main Street. A portion of it does have the road allowance will be joined there, but the ownership will be changing due to the sale, where the other lot that the property is sold to is the same owner and same titleships. So that will merge automatically, where this will not merge automatically. So we need to pass this deeming bylaw so the alley can then join to the property. That makes sense. I can answer any questions. People have any?
Okay, questions of the report? Nope. Then we have a motion that council of the Township of Perth East receive the report entitled deemed lot 241, Plan 363 to be an outside a plan of subdivision CLE-2024-19 dated November 5, 2024, prepared by the Manager of Legislature Services / Municipal Clerk for information, and further that council give 3 readings to bylaw 60-2024, being a bylaw to deem lot 241, Plan 363 to be an outside a plan of subdivision. Moved by Jeremy, second by Amanda. All in favor? Carried. Okay, and the next one is a stop and close Block C, and Ashley's going to give that report, so the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks, Mayor Agates. As council will recall, back in 2023, January 2023, they had authorized the legal location is Block C, Registered Plan 379, but it's in Shakespeare where the new water reservoir will be located. And the Manager of Public Works can speak more to the status of the actual project when he reaches his report. But the review of the actual legal description noted that this is deemed that it could have been a right-of-way. And given that the township has not provided direction to have that as a right-of-way, we need to stop up and close it as a public highway so that the reservoir can be constructed there.
Okay, questions of the report? Hugh?
Like, would that have not showed up though when you started looking at the maps?
I was not here when that first happened. Once you dig into the actual title search, and our lawyers looked at the title, pulled the PIN information, it was flagged. It's still zoned that it's institutional, but it did have it listed in the original plan of subdivision from
57, I think.
Yes, that the land could have been used as a municipal right-of-way, so to connect Stevenson Street to the highway. And since we are not going to be doing that, council's direction was not to do that, then we need to stop up and close that right-of-way.
But on the planning map, so wouldn't it have showed up on them?
I don't believe it
Like,
did.
I think
Like on the
there was something
GIS?
that would be, it was gonna be a road or something on the planning maps that would show something that you can't build a house there or something because there's a roadway there, would you not? Like, I don't know, I'm just asking, like,
Basically, it just shows up as a block as part of the subdivision, but the ownership shows it as our ownership.
Okay.
It's just in order for it not, when the original plan of subdivision was done, Deputy Mayor, the intent was to give consideration to opening it at some point. Because we're not gonna do that, then there's this, so the second step as it relates to the registry office, confirming the ownership, but also the use would not be subject to the road, so you're basically closing
so
down.
basically it was just a maybe in the future.
Yeah, it
so
was just-
it wouldn't have been
Yeah.
delineated on the maps.
A lot of times in plans of subdivision, there will be a section that proposes to extend a road that may never happen, right? But a lot of times that's the design of the subdivision. And a lot of times those will just sit in that instance until something happens like this that triggers it being taken out of that context, so it can't be used as a road anymore.
Okay, any other questions? If not, we have a motion that council of the Township of Perth East receive the report entitled Stop Up and Close Block C, Plan 379, Shakespeare, Northeast Hope Ward, CLE-2024-20 dated November 5, 2024, prepared by the Manager of Legislative Services / municipal clerk for information, and further that council give 3 readings to bylaw 61-2024, being a bylaw to stop, up, and close Block C, registered plan 379 Shakespeare. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Hugh, second by Bob. All in favor? Carried. Okay, thanks, Ashley. Next, under finance, we have our January to October year-to-date. Paula, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Agates. So before council tonight is the year-to-date reports from January to October 26th for 2024. And those reports include comments from the managers regarding anything outside of the norm, maybe of interest to council. And the benchmark for this report is approximately 83% based on usage. That's where we should be approximately. And everybody is falling within that range from 80 to 83%. And there is a trend noted regarding the grass cutting. Based on the season that we had, we did a lot of grass cutting and the costs are running higher than what was budgeted. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of the report? See no questions. We have a motion that Council of the Township of Perth East receive the report prepared by the Manager of Financial Services Treasurer dated November 5, 2024, entitled January October 26, 2024, year-to-date information. Moved by Hugh, second by Andrew. All in favor? Carried. Okay, now we're moving to Public Works, and the first one is entrance permit bylaw update. Jake?
Thanks, Mayor Agates. The first of 2 reports tonight covers the update to the entrance permit bylaw. It was last updated in 1999, so it's been a while. Most of the update really was just to provide some additional detail and spell out some of the specifications for the construction and for the materials used. Nothing significant has really changed. There's a bit more of a breakdown provided for each type of entry and some definitions provided. So other than that, not a lot has changed, but again, just further detail. If there are any questions, I will try and answer.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of the report? No? Okay, we have a motion that Council of the Township of Perth East receive the report entitled Entrance Permit Bylaw Update, PUB-2024-23, dated November 5, 2024, prepared by the Manager of Public Works for information, and further that Council give 3 readings to Bylaw 62-2024, being a bylaw to regulate and govern the construction or alteration of entrances onto municipal roadways and repeal bylaw 08-1999. Moved by Amanda, second by Hugh. All in favor? Carried. Okay, and then the next one is the RFQ results for the standby diesel generator. Jake?
Thanks again, Mayor Agates. This one is request for tender results for the diesel generator for the Shakespeare Water Treatment Facility. There were 2 bids, Summers motor generator sales being the low by quite a lot. BM Ross as well as township staff have used their services in the past and are happy with them. But what this really is for the incorporation of the generator into the actual contract for the construction of the facility. So this is just for inclusion in that process, but we would recommend going with the low bid in Summers. Now, while on the topic, I just want to provide a bit of an update to the process and where we're at with the Shakespeare Water Treatment Facility. In recent conversation with BM Ross, we're looking to tender this next week. So we're very close. We're just doing some final details on the tender paperwork and such. We got our permit today from the MTO for the construction of that facility. And it's going to be up for a period of time. I have the date in front of me here. It's going to be up for a couple of weeks, but ultimately the proposed council award date would be the 17th of December. So there's a few steps along the way to get there, but that is the intention for staff and from the consultant PM Ross. If there are any questions on that, I will try and answer.
Okay, questions, Hugh?
No, not that we were my son model.
Okay, so you have pecuniary interest, okay?
I don't see it, but.
Okay, Jeremy, you have a question?
Yes, so this was to include it in the budget for the project, so that means that we didn't, when we send out the tender now, we didn't have a budget dollar for this before it was sent out, is that right? I was just gonna ask the question what the budget was for it, but it sounds like it's sort of an inclusion now.
Yeah, thanks for the question. There was no specific budget laid out for the generator. It was basically estimated as a package, which was in our budget for 2024. But at this point, obviously, we're not going to be completed. So it's just for incorporation into the actual overall contract. We'll hopefully know those costs before the end of the year for inclusion in the, or if we need to update the proposed budget for 2025, we can do that.
Okay, Andrew?
Thank you, Mayor Rigetts. I'm just wondering, and it's not a big deal, why diesel and not natural gas? Basically, I've never seen a diesel generator for many, many, many moons. You know, and will it have like a weekly auto start and stop thing? I know most modern generators do. And with that, hopefully there's a lot of sound protection in that.
Yeah, so, yeah, firstly, I'll start with your last question. The sound protection, yeah, that is all mandated through the ministry, as you're aware. So there will be provisions in place for that, for the barriers there. The diesel versus natural gas, I'm no expert, so to speak, on that, but my understanding is you'd be in complete control of fueling of those devices. I'm not sure if there's any performance-related benefits to diesel versus other. I'm also not sure of the cost of one versus the other, so I can't speak a lot to that. Sorry, you had another question in the middle there, I believe.
Sorry, just a weekly start-stop testing. Is that something programmed in, or?
Yep, it'll be programmed in, and further to that, we do monthly checks and tests with our internal staff as well. So
Yeah, and that'll help us using up the diesel so it doesn't go funky. Thanks.
Okay, Amanda?
Just for interest's sake, for a conversation about diesel versus propane, because we've been in the process of going through quotes to look at that for the farm, and the propane was a bit more economical than the diesel. However, a lot of the folks, like a lot of the farmers, were saying that the diesel has a little bit more, lack of a better word, snuff to it, and less issues. And so typically you would think propane because it's the way to go, but I know from like the farm perspective, at least in the conversations I've been having, people are saying diesel is the way to go. So if that's of interest to folks, but I just thought I would put that out there.
Okay, any other questions? If not, we have a motion that the Council of the Township of Perth East receive the report entitled RFQ Results Pre-Selection of a Standby Diesel Generator, PUB-2024-22, dated November 5, 2024, prepared by the Manager of Public Works for information. Further, that Council approve the pre-selection of a standby diesel generator for the Shakespeare Water Treatment Plant to Summers Motor Generator Sale Limited for the price of $102,882.65, exclusive of HST. And further, that Council approve the incorporation of an automatic transfer switch as part of the generator pre-selection process to Summers Motors Generator Sale Limited for the price of $11,847.20, exclusive of HST. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Amanda, second by Jeremy. All in favor? Carried. Okay, we have no reports from building, no reports from Park and Recreation, no reports from fire. So then we're at correspondence. We have a request from the Shakespeare Men's Club for their Santa Claus Parade for a temporary road closure on December the 14th. Is there any questions on any of that? If not, we have a motion that the Council of the Township of Perth East receive the correspondence from Barry Nowak Jr., the Shakespeare Men's Club, dated October 25, 2024, regarding request for temporary road closure for the 2024 Shakespeare Santa Claus Parade. For information, that Council approve the route for the Santa Claus Parade beginning at the Shakespeare Community Center on Galt Street, north to William Shakespeare Street, east over Road 107 to Byron Street, south to Andrew Street, west over 107 to Rochelle Street, north to Fraser Street, west to Galt Street, and ending at the Shakespeare Community Center on Saturday, December 14, 2024, starting at 1 p.m. in order to accommodate a parade sponsored by the Shakespeare Men's Club, and further that the event organizers provide sufficient volunteers necessary to control detoured/rerouted traffic, and further that certificate of insurance state that the Corporation Township of Perth East in the County of Perth be added as an additional insured, but only with respects to their interest in the operation of the named insured. We need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Andrew, second by Hugh. All in favor? Carried. Okay, we're down to council and committee reports. There's my meeting log for where I was for the month of October. Is there any questions on any of that? No. Okay, then we go to council reports. Does anybody have a committee that they sit on or a board that they wish to give a report on this time? Nope. So we need a motion to accept the mayor's meeting log. Moved by Jeremy, second by Hugh. All in favor? Carried. Okay, now we're down to bylaws. We have several bylaws to be read a first, second, and third and final reading. We have bylaws 60-2024, a bylaw to deem lot 241, plan 363 to be an outside a plan of subdivision. We have bylaw 61-2024, a bylaw to stop, up, and close block C, registered plan 379. Bylaw 62-2024, a bylaw to govern entrances on municipal roadways and repel bylaw 08-1999. Bylaw 217-2024, a bylaw to amend bylaw 30-1999, and that was for lots 21 and 22, concession 11, Ellis Ward, 5018, Perth Road 135. We have bylaw 218-2024 to amend bylaw 30-1999, part lot 39, concession 3, Northeast Hope Ward, that was 2954, line 37. We have bylaw 111-2024, a bylaw to collect for final drainage assessment on the South Maitland River Municipal Drain, Jeremy Crossing, North Perth. Bylaw 112-2024, a bylaw to collect for drain maintenance on the Weir Municipal Drain, and bylaw 13-2024, a bylaw to collect for drain maintenance on the Maitland Ellis Municipal Drain, and the bylaws listed above be read a first, second, third, and final time. A mover and a seconder. Moved by Jeremy, second by Amanda. All in favor? Carried. Okay, do we have any notice of motions? Any other business? I have one item of other business that I'd like to bring up. We seem to have some issues down in Sebastopol with our sidewalk. We have some people using it as a roadway, which I find has a huge safety issue if they're driving on the sidewalk with their duals on their tractors and their combines. So I'd like the staff to, with council's permission and a resolution, that staff look into this some more and see what we can do about it. Either we come up with a policy that no motorized vehicles can drive down our sidewalk, or we put signs there that maybe then that's the simplest thing that we need to do, is put signs there and say no motor vehicles on the sidewalk, but they're gonna wreck the sidewalk that we've put there, and we don't drive on the sidewalk anywhere else in our municipality. So I'm just throwing that out there to see what anybody thinks.
It's a complaint about farm equipment driving on the sidewalk?
Yes, so through duals on their tractors and the combines, the road is not wide enough. The guy that went down with his combine left his head on, and he stretched right out on the road, and they went right up over the curb and drove down the sidewalk. We put, Public Works went down and put cones on the sidewalks, and they drove over them, and they moved them. They ignored them. So I'm appalled as a farmer that somebody would do that with their farm equipment. So I think that for safety reasons, if there was somebody walking in that sidewalk, what would have happened, right? And that sidewalk is very well used by those community members. So I think we need to have staff look into it some more, and we need to figure out something that we can do to stop them from doing what they're doing. Questions? Jeremy's thinking.
I'm just not sure what you can do.
Well,
Like a sign is a sign, but if someone's,
well, if we put signs along the sidewalk that's saying that no motorized vehicles on the sidewalk, then they can't bring their tractor up over the curb and drive down the sidewalk.
right. We shouldn't need a sign to indicate we don't need motorized vehicles on a sidewalk, though.
I know we shouldn't. We shouldn't, and I agree with you, but they are doing it. It's been witnessed by several of the neighbors. Andrew?
No, I agree. I've been working on this on and off for the last few weeks, including going door to door. Got some screenshots I'll circulate to staff. Obviously, you guys know the cones are run over already. Possibility of community mailboxes, which I don't think is a municipal thing, so I've left it with the residents in the area to contact Canada Post, which would free up the southern side of the road if any farm machinery does have to hang over, which isn't really acceptable either, but at least it won't be on the sidewalk. Now, the local farming community has been good to replace the mailboxes that have been smoked on a regular basis, which is very good, but you're right, it doesn't, it's not just a farming group, it's, there's also just tractor trailers, there's been some construction equipment. Someone's too far over, they deke over so they don't hit the other person coming. It's just a growth-related ailment, and putting it all back to gravel, maybe, I don't know. But look, it's nice, I agree. I think we should have a formal discussion on what to do on that. Some road alignment, sidewalk alignment possibilities. I know we did some great work, it looks great. Maybe there's some way we can improve the alignment a bit to deter that. But yes, I'm definitely in favor of a chat.
Okay, anyone else? What I'm proposing is we send it back to staff, not make any decisions tonight. Send it to staff and see what, what they think that should come back. And as Andrew said, spur some conversation and what we can do to stop this. Right, he's right, it's not our job. I did get some phone calls, Andrew. People were upset that you were going door to door and talking about the mailboxes, because that's really not our mandate, which you did say that is Canada Post, but we should not be out soliciting about changing the mailboxes.
I actually did, Mayor, I get to make it clear that this is my own initiative as their neighbor from Shakespeare. That was door to door. I supplied them with the Service Canada thing and said it's their decision. If they have any questions, they can phone and ask. It was quite clear that it was not a municipal council driven thing. It was just a good neighbor trying to help with a safety issue.
Well, they didn't all take it that way, because I had some phone calls, but anyway, yeah. Anyway, what I'm looking for is that we have a motion that staff bring back a report of something, a solution or something that can be done in this part of our municipality. Is anyone willing to make that motion? Amanda? Do we have a seconder? Andrew? Okay, so we have a motion that Council of the Township of Perth East receive the verbal report from Mayor Agich regarding motorized vehicles driving on sidewalks in Sebastopol for information, and that council refer to staff for follow-up reports. Okay, that's good with you and Andrew? All in favor? Carried. Okay, we're down to announcements. Anyone have any announcements? I just have one. I want to thank Eric. Eric, this is Eric's last meeting tonight. We're really going to miss you. We wish you all the best. We know you'll do great wherever you go, and we thank you for all that you've done for Perth East. Okay, we do have closed session?
Yes.
Yep, okay. I'm not with it tonight. So we do have a closed session, okay, so the motion is? I guess I do know that, yes, I do. That the regular meeting of council be temporarily adjourned at 8:24 PM to permit the holding of a meeting in closed session for the purpose of a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board on Road 145. We need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Hugh, second by Amanda. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Everyone else, thank you. Hope you have a great rest of your night. And we'll see you later. And we'll just take a short Okay, we have a motion that council of the Township of Perth East rise from closed session and reconvene at regular session at 8:46 PM. Moved by Amanda, second by Hugh, all in favor? Carried. We have a motion that the council of the Township of Perth East approve the closed session minutes from September 17, 2024. Moved by Bob, second by Amanda, all in favor? Carried. We have a motion, the council of the Township of Perth East direct staff to engage the township solicitor and that council direct staff to contact property owners along Road 145 and take action to have a survey and a reference plan prepared for Road 145 between line 42 and line 39, Township of Perth East, to identify each part of the road that is under private ownership as a part of the reference plan and the portions to be transferred to the Township of Perth East. Moved by Amanda, second by Jeremy. All in favor? Carried. We have a motion that bylaw 63-2024 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council of the Township of Perth East at its regular meeting held on November 5, 2024, be read a first, second, and third time. No. Because you declared pecuniary interest, so, okay. We need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Andrew, second by Amanda. All in favor? Carried. And the last motion of the night is that we adjourn at 8:47 PM. Moved by Amanda, second by Jeremy. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your night.